This meeting is being recorded.
So welcome everyone to our latest video series. We've got a very special guest today. He'll introduce himself shortly, so you can probably tell by the top he's got on. He works for Arsenal. So welcome to the chat, Mark. How are you doing? You okay?
Yeah, pretty good, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Oh, no, I appreciate your time. I know you're busy, so thank you for coming on and doing this. So just a quick intro then about yourself then first, Mark, your position, what you've done then in the past, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I'm currently pre-academy manager at Arsenal. I've been here for a couple of seasons now. So my job primarily is working with the under-8s. We have 6 regional centres across London that, if you like, sort of bottleneck into our training base, our training ground here at Hale End in Walthamstow, East London. And then from there, yeah, we sort of select and try and assemble a squad of players that are going to be Arsenal's under-9s for next season. So yeah, it's very fun. It's there's lots going on. It's dealing with lots of different stakeholders, from the boys themselves to coaches, to scouts, parents, other people within the organisation as well. So yeah, it's great. It's a bit like an under-8s transfer season, if you like. And then yeah, prior to that, I was at the Football Association for 10 years in various different guises. More recently, a county coach developer, so supporting the delivery of level 1s, level 2s, UEFA Bs, etc. And then before that, I'd been community manager at a couple of clubs, Reading and Plymouth Argyle, and worked in academies before, or centres of excellence at a variety of different clubs, spanning probably about 35 years. I kind of worked out today when sat down with someone else. So yeah.
You've been working since you were 2 then, yeah?
You're too kind, Mike. Too kind.
It's good working in football, but it does age you.
It does age you, yeah. But no, I've loved every single minute of it, and yeah, from when I sort of first went in, and had to have a variety of different jobs really, just to supplement your income. So sort of cleaning jobs, the building site work, and the warehouse stuff, which was great at the time. And just for me, it made me realise, with respect to anyone who does any of those jobs, but for me, it was something that I didn't want to do, and it just made me more sort of keen and eager to sort of carve out a career in the football industry. So yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Ah, brilliant. So obviously we met. Oh, it was middle last year.
Yeah.
And we brought down our airpitches. So obviously, I'd assume you'd done 3v3 before that. So obviously, we talk about small-sided games in general and 3v3. So how do Arsenal or the pre-academy, and if it's only the pre-academy, it might be the older ages as well. How do you use 3v3 and small-sided games in your programme?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think I look at when I was 7 or an 8-year-old, and I really sort of focus on emotional intelligence now, and look at the empathy side and think, what did I want to do when I was that age? And invariably, me at 8 years of age, if you ask my friends, it would have been to play a game of some form. We know that football's an invasion game. It's very random. But unfortunately, in my sort of early years of playing football, I spent a lot of it running around the outside of pitches, 10, 12 laps, and then it will be very much drill-based or constant practices where I was sort of repeating things. So subsequently, then you get lots of goes, so there's lots of repetition. So success rate, I suppose, is high, but then decision making is quite low. So when the boys come in here, we kind of flip that around a little bit and say, right, we want you to experience playing in small-sided matches right from the start. So, the FA's DNA suggests that they should do 70% ball rolling. Well, we're probably around about that, if not higher, as soon as the boys come in and they're playing football straight away. So we're asking them to try and deal with a number of different pressures, from from the front, from the side, from the back, just as a way of trying to get them to enhance their sort of individual and collective football action. So as soon as they come in, they'll play. And I think these air pitches sort of really just add a little bit of variety, a bit of spice to our evenings, actually. You know, we probably have them out once a week. We'll be in here training a couple of times a week, but once a week we try and have these out, whether it's playing in small-sided games, 3v3s, or we might use them for our sort of skill-based rotations. But yeah, in the main, they're very popular, and we get really good returns in our sessions.
I remember the first night when we brought them down and we set them up, and it was the kids' faces as they walked through the door and they're seeing it. It was like, wow, you know, they were just dead excited to go and play. And it wasn't just the kids; it was the coaches as well. They were like, "Can we have a go? Can we have a go?"
Yeah.
And I think it does add that. And if you have that attitude or that enthusiasm, then when you go in to play football, it's like, well, you're probably going to end up playing a lot better and enjoying it. Rather than just being, it's doing the same, like say these set drills that some do, and you're doing the same for half an hour, and it's just boring for players. Let's say if the air pitches add that fun to it, and we do this to say all around the country, and I always love to capture that moment of, I always try and make sure I get to see them kids coming through the door the first time and just their eyes light up and the big smiles on their faces. Like you said before, when I was a kid, bloody hell, we'd only dream of something like this. So it is then great to see. So it's good that you use them, like I say, on a weekly basis. Like I said, I've got the picture there, the 4 air pitches. But it's not, and okay, well, we're a big fan of what we do with the air pitches, but just the small-sided games in general. Obviously, I know then the older age groups in the academy, do they use them at all, or do they use small-sided games in their training, or what? How's it influenced throughout the ages?
Yeah, I would suggest that we're very games based anyway. Through certainly where we sit in the pre-academy and also the foundation phase, we've got a very good relationship with the guys in the foundation phase from 9s to 11s, and they've definitely used these on numerous occasions, whether that's just for a sort of normal training night, just to bring something different to the training sessions, or whether it's training for futsal. I get it that the pitch is indifferent and the goals are different, but it just gives you that level of intensity where the ball's not able to go out. So subsequently, then you get all the sort of physical returns and everything, and the boys trying to deal with those variety of different pressures. So there's certainly a big hit, not only with us at pre-academy, but definitely in the foundation phase as well. And like you've alluded to, Mike, the players are one thing, but for the coaches as well, I think they really enjoy just coaching and using these as a different tool.
Yeah, no, it does, and it probably from a coach's point of view, it makes your job a bit easier. You're not chasing balls all over the place. The kids then are just on it. The intensity's there, and the game just flows. And like you say, you probably can just step back and watch them just get on with it then. So obviously, I'm assuming, obviously, when we brought the one down for you to test out, and then you went and bought your own, let's say, branded ones, was it for this, or have you got anything more out of it than what you expected since you've been using them?
I think if I'm totally honest, and I come from that sort of football in the community background where we've had things like this before. I remember the sort of noise around the blow-up goals, which were great at the time, and you would put them in bags and transport them around to different venues, and they were great. I remember being at Plymouth Argyle, and we had a pitch that we'd have on a trailer, and we'd take out to local estates as part of the Kicks program. That was great. And I must admit, there's part of me that thought, these pitches are wonderful, but I just dread the fact that we would put them in the bags and leave them into one side to gather dust and never to be seen again, or just to get out on Christmas events or something like that. But like I've just said a second ago, we probably do. We get them out once a week, once a fortnight is probably the longest we'll go. And I think it becomes a regular thing now in the minds of the boys that tonight's the night we're going to use the air pitches. And then if you think about that, coupled with we'll get some music playing as well. It just creates a wonderful vibe, a wonderful atmosphere. And then I think you find that you get more out of the boys in that session. So definitely once a week, once a fortnight. That's us, and the foundation phase probably similar.
Brilliant. So we've just launched a free book actually. That's downloadable. Hope you use it. Yeah, maybe. I'm sure you know a lot of the games in there already. So I didn't intend to plug that on there, but it would you just made me thought there about the other coaches. And say for me, I remember having this conversation years ago when we started, was 3v3 works, and all you need is 4 cones and a ball. It's literally, this is the top end with the air pitches and the branded nets and, everything looking great. But, for a grassroots coach, a lot of them now, especially with the playmaker course and the less interaction, I think, from like the FA and professional coach like we used to do years ago when we did the mentoring. I don't see a lot or as much of that nowadays. So coaches are left on their own. So if, they don't know what to do or they're watching stuff, I say this free book is just a load of games that will give the kids loads of touches, loads of decisions to make. But then there's games in there then that you can, we want to work on, whether it's a pressing session or a defending session. So there's different games that you can do in the 3v3 format that will just make the kids play. Because I say with some of them, and your kids are probably not there. They're probably playing multiple hours per week, but for there's some kids that are only playing an hour a week, or you've got a coach who's got them for an hour a week, and you watch them, you go, you just stood around for half that time. No wonder you're not getting any better, or you're not really enjoying it. Would a 3v3 sessions, and you see how that could help any grassroots coach?
Oh, well, I think hugely, Mike, for sure. With my FA hat on, I still go out now when I can, when time allows, to observe level 2 sessions and certainly UEFA B sessions. And my experience of my son being a teenager and playing football and probably starting to fall out of love with the game a little bit now. But he'll tell me of some of his sessions and the sort of learning outcomes or the focus, which is very much sort of, to me, it sounds very generic and very much like stuff that I would have been taught or asked to do in the early 90s or late 80s. But we've evolved. We live in what I call a FIFA generation now, where all of these boys, a good majority, will play FIFA. The terminology's changed, and we need to get to grips with that. And I think my point to this is, if we take our egos aside and create these wonderful environments where it is player-led, decision-rich, constraints-based if need be, but full of challenges and scenarios, you can put a lot of this stuff into these games. Why can't you play a game? And I remember someone at the FA, we were talking about a coach sort of losing track of his learning outcome and wasn't sure what to do. And so much, put them in a game. Put them in a game, a 3v3 or 4v4 or whatever it was at the time. If you're not sure, they're going to get a lot more out of that than standing around or running around the outside of a pitch or passing the ball, you stop it, pass it back in terms of a sort of constant practice. So get them moving, get them playing a game, something that's fun, something that's relatable, because we go back to football being an invasion game, which is you protect one thing and you invade the other. And I think the closer we can get to that in our practices, the better. Unfortunately, I see a lot of it going the other way, where sometimes it's too far detached, too far unlike the real game. And then I think the gap then from training to a match can be vast for some, because they're not being subjected to the different pictures and the different sort of scenarios from that a game would provide.
No, and it was something you said earlier on about, back to when we were 8 years old and what would we want to do? And it's just going to play with your mates, have fun, right? And yeah, if that's where you go, that's where you start at. And I say learning and improving just becomes a whole lot easier, and doesn't it? It's
because
too serious sometimes.
Yeah. And if you strip it back, the boys, even at academy level, boys and girls at grassroots level, are volunteers. And we come into this game because we love it. We're falling in love with the game. We watch it on TV, and we want to try and emulate those stars that we're watching. So there has to be a fun element. I get it. Academy football, it perhaps gets a little bit serious, and there's certain things that we want to work to in terms of outcomes and syllabuses, etc. But by and large, a high population, a high percentage are not going to play at this level. High percentage aren't going to make the grade of a professional footballer. So what's left? They've got to be able to enjoy it.
Well, so going forward, I've said probably now busy time of the season, under 8s all getting ready to sign and move on up, and then the next generation almost are coming through. So I'm going to ask you the question: will you use the air pitches as much with the next ones as they're coming through as you have them with the current ones?
Yeah, we have done already, and I think the good thing is that when the boys. When the younger age groups come in, they can see the other boys using the air pitches, and naturally they want to have a go. Or we'll keep them up for both different age groups anyway, so they can have a go. But yeah, as I say, it's very much. I think we as coaches, as practitioners, need to disguise the learning that takes place on these training nights. So again, we've got to be skillful with the language that we use. It's got to be child friendly and relatable to the boys that come in. It can't be words that we use as a barrier to entry, just to boost our own sort of egos and knowledge base. I think it's got to be all for the boys, so we can be skillful with the learning that takes place within that. We can still get to meet the outcomes, the intended outcomes for that session, but you're looking at 70% ball rolling, and you're looking at things being that much closer to a real game setting. So for sure, Mike, will be using them just as much, if not more, next season.
Bill, no, it just what you said there about language you use. When I was at a tournament last week, and one of the coaches, he kept saying Captain America, Captain America. And I went, what do you mean? He went, it's been shield to the kids. They understand what it means. It was like, yeah, okay, yeah. That's what they understand, and they know what it means. Then,
yeah, I mean, we've had our go, Mike. We've had our go. Unfortunately, I'm going to break this news to you, Mike, but we're not going to be professional footballers.
What? I've still watched them and go, I'm better than him.
You looked amazed. We're not going to be. We've had our go, so it didn't quite work for me, and that's something I would have loved to have done. But yeah, everything evolves, evolution, and some of the terminologies change. But if we can be really brave and learn from the boys a little bit more, or at the very least, get their advice on things, because even 7 or 8 year olds, will teach you things. We talk a lot about, having a connection with the boys as soon as they come in. So we're not talking to them as young men, because they're not, or as young professional footballers, because they're not, but as young boys. So what was it like at school today? What subject did you enjoy doing? How did your grassroots team get on at the weekend? So just some connection pieces before they even come in and step in and play. I think that's really, really important all the way through, actually. And you hear there's a couple of managers now that I hear talk, and they're really big on that connection piece, not just treating the players as sort of commodities, or just as professional footballers, but more importantly as people first.
I seen that, and I don't know if I mentioned it to you or to Lewis. And the night I come down and we did that first event, just that connection that I seen with your coaches and the players. I've been at a lot of academies, and it was rare. I've seen it a few times, but yeah, the connection that your guys had, I thought, no wonder that the kids enjoy coming to this environment. I can see it was a real good connection with all the boys. There's not a couple of favourites. It was every kid come in. They were all respectful to all the coaches as well, and you could really tell that connection. So like I say, I've been at a few in where you don't see it, but when you see it as good as yours, it was like you can tell it's a good vibe. And I was speaking to some parents as well, and they were saying just how much their kid enjoys being at Arsenal. So well done to you and your team for creating that environment there. That was brilliant. That.
Yeah, no, thanks, Mike. And it is really, really important to us. So we're talking now. It's a Monday night, and within the next hour, we're going to have 16 boys come in that come from 16 different environments. Some would have travelled 10 minutes to get here. Some would have sat in a car for 55 minutes, let's say. Some would have had a good day at school. Some have come from split families. Some would have had homework that they need to do that's on their mind. There's a whole range of different things that are on their young minds. So we have to, if we're talking about being good coaches and caring coaches, we have to consider all of these things, because performance levels at this age just meander up and down, and are very much non-linear, as you can imagine, as I'm sure you're aware. So one of the things that we tell our coaches is expect that to happen, and ask yourself first, what more can I do as a coach to support the player? And it's very much a blame the player last culture. What more can we do to support them? Or just even step back and ask yourself, I wonder why it is that such and such has happened. And then coupled, like you said, with creating that environment and maybe having the air pitches out, having some music on, it certainly would have been an environment that I would have loved to have stepped in when I was 7 or 8 years of age.
Oh, brilliant. Well, thanks for your time, Mark. Well, we always have this last question, and I didn't prep you, so you've got it's on the spot.
Yeah.
We've got a World Cup. You can pick any 3 players to represent your team, past or present. Who are your 3 players you're having?
Oh, what a question. I'm gonna go with. Can they play anywhere? Any positions or?
Any position? Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Diego Maradona, just simply because Maradona is someone that I grew up. It was my era. An absolute maverick who could do wonderful things with the ball, and someone that made me really fall in love with the game from a young age. Someone, as I was growing up and just started to get into coaching, Paul Gascoigne, which again, someone who I enjoyed watching, enjoyed his journey. Someone that, even when I look back now, still excites me, the things that he can do on the ball. And then I'm gonna go with Messi as well. Just bringing it into the modern day a little bit more. What I like about Messi is similar to the other 2, but just his temperament. I like the respect that he commands, and I think I'd like him as a person, Mike. When we become best mates, me and Lionel Messi, when he invites me to his barbecues, I think he's someone that I might be able to get on with.
I'll get you an invite next time you phone me.
I'd appreciate that.
I'm surprised, obviously, no Arsenal connections in there, and go with a Spurs player as well. So have you got an Arsenal 3 then you'd like to throw in as well?
Past and present. Okay. I'm going to go with Ian Wright. I like Ian Wright's story. Very humble beginnings. Someone who came into the game really, really late. I think 21 maybe. Someone who worked so hard to get where he eventually got to. Started off in non-league football, had trials at X amount of clubs, Probably had lots of rejection on the way, but went on to make it at the highest level and represent his country. He was someone, again, who I just loved watching play, and tried to emulate when I first started playing as well. But someone who was, just fantastic. That's him. I'm going to go with. Oh, you put me on the spot now. Arsenal. I'm going to have to go with Dennis Bergkamp.
He'd be mine. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I never saw him play live, but when you hear interviews from ex-players that played with him, invariably he's in their teams. Ian Wright, for example, I think would say he's probably one of the best he's played with, and Ray Parlour, etc. That goal against, was it Leicester or Newcastle, one of the two, where he sort of flicks it round and gets it round the other side and opens his body up to slot it in the bottom right-hand corner. One of very many special goals, and just someone that I'm guessing could be quite quiet for a large percentage of the game and then just make it happen. So yeah, he would be up there. And then I'm going to go and bring it right up to date, and I'm going to go with Bukayo Saka. Again, wonderful, humble boy. And why I picked Bukayo is that he started his journey where I sit now. So he would have come through our pre-academy at the age of 8. And if he was around now, Mike, he'd be playing on your air pitches at Hale End in the Dome. But anyway, he's gone through this journey, and again, it was sort of very much non-linear. And we talk about Bukayo when we present to the parents about a player's journey. But again, someone who has not made it, but has definitely commanded respect in the position that he plays, not just domestically but internationally as well. But yeah, any interviews I hear of him are very humble, and he sounds like a very well-rounded young man with a real bright future ahead of him. So yeah, they're my 3, Mike.
No, a great three, definitely. Bergkamp he'd be in one of mine, and Saka as an Arsenal player. I think he's been great. And I have said it a few times, Arsenal are the only club to have bought their own air pitches, and you're top of the league, and it was no coincidence. It was as soon as you got them, that's what happened. But I'm not saying we were to influence that in any way, but just the way it goes.
We need to check in at the end of the season, Mike. Hopefully we're still there.
That's all. Well, as a Man United fan, I think there's a if it's not you, it'll be us, not the blue one. So we'll leave it there before we crack on with that. So Mark, thanks for your time. I know you've got a busy evening ahead, so I do appreciate this. Like I say, we'll put this out on our social channels and in our newsletter that goes out. I'll put a link to the free book that I referenced there earlier on, so anyone can download that. So again, thanks for your time, Mark, and I'll see you around soon.
Thanks, Mike. Oh.